Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our June 2021 seminar. Today is our 4th anniversary of doing these. 4 years, month after month, we've been bringing you free educational seminars called the Savvy Seniors Living Seminar Series. And I'm just thrilled. I'm thrilled that we're still going strong, and we have got a great lineup for the rest of this year as well. And so let's do a little housekeeping right now while people are jumping on. And I want to remind you that starting next month, the July 7th seminar is going to be back at the Lafayette Library Community Hall. So we've been looking forward to this for a long, long time. So we're excited that things are starting to get back to normal. At this point, I don't know if we're going to be able to do a Zoom and have it live. We're going to look into the possibility of how we would be able to do that. Technology-wise, I don't know if the library has the ability to do that for us, but we're researching that. So just stay tuned. July 7th, the topic is going to be your forever home. Remodel, build, or buy. And we're going to be covering everything from building new construction with a contractor, talking about design, talking about universal design, accessory dwelling units. We're gonna cover a lot of great ground. August 4th is going to be paying for your retirement with a reverse mortgage. Do you stay put or do you purchase? So that is going to be a very important seminar as well. And September 1st, we're going to cover in-home and residential care. It's your home and your choice. And so those are the next 3 coming up. You can always go to the SavvySeniorsLiving.com website for the full lineup. And then hopefully sometime in 4th quarter of this year, we will have at least the topics for 2022 posted and ready for you to see and even potentially sign up for. So with that in mind, I have 2 of our 4 awesome platinum sponsors on hold here and waiting to introduce themselves briefly. So we could not do these seminars without our sponsors. They're amazing. And they're all local seasoned experts that we know, we love, we trust. And we cannot thank them enough for their support of these seminars. I'm getting goosebumps. So I'm obviously one of the platinum sponsors. I see that Annalise Morris King, she recently got married, so she's now Morris King, is not on today, but she is with Merrill Lynch, financial advisor. And I'm going to just allow Paula and Mike to give a quick little 60-second introduction personally to you, so you know them a little bit better, at least via Zoom, and then next month you can meet them in person. So Paula, why don't you unmute yourself and tell us who you are and what you do?
Sure. Thanks so much, Dayna. And again, thank you so much for hosting these wonderful seminars. Education is priceless. My name is Paula. I am the sales director for Byron Park Senior Living. We are a 55 plus senior living community out in Walnut Creek, right by Rossmore. We offer independent living and assisted living. And I mean, we really proudly have a vibrant and active community that serves the seniors in all of the East Bay.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again for your support. We love Byron Park so much. Mike, who are you? What do you do?
Thank you, Dayna. I am the owner of Care Patrol of Walnut Creek. Care Patrol is very proud to be a platinum sponsor of Savvy Senior. We love what you do for the seniors in Walnut Creek and all over this area. We help families find senior living communities like independent living, assisted living, memory care, and residential care home. I am a local placement agent in Walnut Creek, and we cover most of Contra, Costa, and Alameda County. If you need help with any senior living communities, please reach out to us. Thank you, everyone.
Awesome. Wonderful. Okay. Well, I will say goodbye to you guys right now. And thank you so much. And then Mike, I might have you jump off. There you go. Awesome. Okay. So I also want to introduce our silver level sponsors real quickly, which is Matthew Avadekian with the Avadekian Law Group, Trust and Estates, et cetera, Carlton Pleasant Hill Martinez, that's Mary Grafilo. Efficiency Matters, Organizing Move Management Help, Jennifer Raftis. Now, Dale Martin is with Live Home, which has changed its name to Arosa Care. Hello, Mike. And so don't fret. Dale is still with an in-home care company that offers wonderful services, but their name changed recently. And so we'll learn more about that next month. Also, Mutual of Omaha Mortgage, Reverse Mortgage with Marty Apple and Martha Eccles. And Oakmont of Montecito, Michaela Olson representing them. So thank you once again. I think we have our introductions out of the way. And again, reminding you, we are going to see you next week at the Lafayette, or next month at the Lafayette Library Community Hall, which is up on the main street level there. So there's plenty of parking behind in the parking lot and on the street. So there you go. So today is part 3 of a kind of a 3-part series that we started within the year's lineup, talking about the whole kind of downsizing, right-sizing issue. And we started with part 1, where we talked about the emotions and psychology about letting go, right? Letting go of our things, our stuff, but maybe even our past life that those things represented. And we dug into that pretty deeply, and I got really great comments on that, that it was very helpful for people. So that's obviously what we all try to do. The second part was about how do we really physically, what is the process of getting rid of the stuff, right? And so we had a couple great speakers talk about that as well, kind of the nuts and bolts of it all. And then today we're going to kind of bring it all together and talk about the 5-step method and things that I want to suggest you keep in mind, things I want you to start considering and planning for. And hopefully you'll leave with a couple new nuggets of information. So I saw the wonderful people that are attending today, and I see a lot of wonderful familiar names, and we lovingly call you our groupies because we know you and we love you, and we've been seeing you now for years. And I see some newbies. I feel like Miss Nancy on Romper Room. I see some newbies attending today. So welcome to the series. We hope you enjoy today's session and that you come back again for more. So today, guess what? I'm usually the host and the moderator, and I'm also the speaker today because this is what I do. But we're going to talk in as many general terms as possible about this whole 5-step process. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Dayna Wilson. I am a seniors real estate specialist, certified senior housing professional, certified trust and probate realtor with Keller Williams Realty East Bay. And I was licensed back in 2006, and early on decided that I wanted to really focus on a group of people that I would enjoy working with day in and day out. And I started working with more and more people 55 and older, really my age and older, and realized that a lot of these people needed a little extra help, a little extra direction, more support. And I jumped in feet first. So I've studied and coached with a group called the Seniors Real Estate Institute in Oklahoma. And part of the information I'm sharing today actually comes from some of the training that I've done with them. So here we go. Let's just jump into all of this. And I will just start out by saying, you know, we realize that simplifying your life and your home can be really complicated. It's not necessarily easy, although we call this the 5 easy steps to a successful move. I'm not saying it's easy, but I am saying that there are ways to make it easier, less stressful, more hassle-free. And so we're going to try to dig into that today. So, you know, somewhere between touring homes and deciding what you're going to take with you, what you're going to leave behind, how you're going to, you know, move, all these different things, you realize that, you know, it's a lot of work, right? So the process can be simplified a little bit, and we're just going to kind of chunk it out today. We're going to spend a little bit more time on some of the steps than others. But the first step that I want to suggest we talk about is creating that plan, right? What is your plan? I mean, this is really an exciting part of the whole process, because this is the time when you get to design your life, right? And you don't want to live your life by default. This is the time when you can design your life, what you want your life to look like today and moving forward. And so this is where you really kind of need to dig in and commit to doing some research, doing your due diligence, because you're all very smart people. And I think you're all probably in some different place on this spectrum of what are we going to do in the future? Where would we live? And how would that all work? I mean, my husband and I are there too, trying to figure it all out. So you got to do a little homework, right? Little research. And I want you to consider not just, okay, we should be in a single family home, I mean, a single level home because we don't want stairs, but also, you know, what's your lifestyle like? What hobbies do you like to do? Do you want to be close to family or friends? What's your financial situation? So there's a lot that goes into that, not just, oh, we live in a single level home and we'll be fine. You know, living by design is living life to the fullest with lots of joy and good health. So, you know, plan for those things. Consider those things in the making of your plan. And so some of the questions that we would want to suggest that you consider, well, I'll do one better. I'll tell you about someone named Marge that I recently met with. I met with her about, I'm going to say about 8 weeks ago. And she's been coming to my seminars for a couple of years now. And she said, okay, Dayna, I think I'm ready. Let's have a consultation. Come on over and let's just dig into this because I want to have a plan. Her husband passed away late last year, and this was really keeping her up. She used to be an accountant, and she's very detail oriented, and she wanted to have this all in place. So we talked about, and I suggested that she consider her lifestyle, right? What would she need now and what would she need in the future? You know, what if she doesn't drive down the road? And she doesn't have kids, by the way, either. So what if she doesn't drive down the road? Or, you know, how long does she think she can live independently? She's in her 80s. You know, and it's not about age, it's about your level of health and activity, right? You know, how does she want her family to be involved? She does have some very close nieces and nephews that are like her kids, and she wants them to be very involved. And type of activities. So she loves working out on her gym equipment. Her whole garage is a gym. So that's going to be really important for her to find her next place that has all that great equipment that she's used to, or at least has room maybe for her equipment. So we talked about where she stands financially And we dug into that a little bit. You know, what does her monthly income look like? What would she want to be spending moving forward? Will that monthly income change in the future? You know, savings, investments, that kind of thing. And then obviously a big piece of that, because a lot of us are house rich and a little cash poor compared to what the homes are selling for these days, right? Is how much equity she could expect to approximately net at the end of selling her home. You know, we talked about what she might earn or at least not have to spend on an estate sale. We're going to talk more about that in a little bit. So, you know, the next step was, okay, we've covered some of these questions. How do you prepare for this? Like, who's out there to help? So in this day and age, I don't think there's a lack of information. You can Google anything. You can get 10,000 sites on anything you Google. There's almost too much information. And so I find that people are a little challenged with kind of finding that one place where it all brings it all together so that they don't have to be on 15 different websites trying to figure out, well, who's telling you the truth? And, you know, what's the real deal here? So we started talking about how to prepare for the actual move. And that includes, you know, starting with the big elephant in the room, which is our stuff. What are we going to do with all our stuff? Are we going to give it to family and friends? Are we going to consider an estate sale? We're going to dig into that a little bit more. I know we've talked about this stuff a lot in the last 2 seminars. What time of the year do you want to move? Is there a date? Is there a particular time or date that you would like to move, and why? Why is that important? You know, what's the main motivation? What's the timing going to look like about that? You know, what do you need to do to prepare yourself, and what do you need to do to prepare your home for sale? And then in some cases, depending on where you are moving to, you may have to get involved with going back and you know, having a physical with your physician. You may need to sit down with your financial advisor or your attorney. And I will say that I'm in the midst of two different escrows right now. Well, we're not in escrow, but 2 different home sellers who do not have access to the appropriate documentation right now. And so everything has had to be put on hold. In one case, one home has 2 different trusts with 5 trustees total, and 3 of the trustees have passed away, and the attorney is no longer in business. And we cannot transfer that title until we can figure all the paperwork out, right? Because the home is owned in a trust by 2 different trusts, and we need the supporting documentation. So some of these things are part of your planning, part of your research. Like, you know, do we have these things in place? Do we have all our ducks in a row? And then, you know, before we're going to just sell our home, we have to figure out, well, where are we moving to? What does that look like? And what do we want in our next home? You know, so I gave her a housing checklist of things to consider. You know, pets. Do we want meals included? What about transportation? So, you know, this whole consideration of a right-sizing move can take many different forms. And I actually wrote some notes because I was thinking about this last week. I've been able to help so many amazing people through this journey, and they all had different situations. The timing was different. Their motivation was different. But I just want to tell you that everybody's downsizing plan is completely different and unique. And it can change over time. So you can have a plan in place. And let's even take a step back further and say, why are we even talking about having a plan? Who cares? We'll figure it out as we go. Well, it's almost like having a plan if there was a fire or an earthquake. Do we know what we would do in those cases? Well, it's probably best to have a plan, right? You know, let's say your husband's in one location, you're in the other, and how are you going to get to each other, and what are you going to bring, and what are you going to need, and where is it, and where are you going to go, and how are you going to get there? And, you know, and so what do? We expect the best, but we plan for the worst, right? So again, this is your what if plan. You may never even use this plan. You may decide we're going to stay put, we're going to stay in place, and that is your plan. And that's awesome. And we can help you with that as well. But whatever it is, I'm going to just urge you to have that plan. So I'll give you some examples. So Linda and Paul, they're awesome. They moved from a 4,000 plus square foot home in Alamo. Their downsizing move was moving to an almost 3,000 square foot home, single level in Walnut Creek with a pool. So their Alamo home had stairs everywhere. It was like a tri-level on a hill, no pool. Paul uses a walker, and his doctor had prescribed daily water exercise. So they wanted a home with a pool, and that was their downsizing move. And it's awesome, and they have never looked back, and it's serving their needs beautifully. Ida and John, they moved from Concord back to Ohio, where they had grown up, and all their family was still back there. And they had a blast living out here. He had been a forest ranger out here. And so they actually ended up buying a brand new construction home that was already built. But that was their downsizing move, a little smaller home, but closer to family. Ralph and Debbie moved from their single level home in Danville on a very large lot with a pool to a local assisted living community in the Lamorinda area. Because they were really missing community socialization. They wanted to actually increase their activity, and they wanted to be able to walk to the library and walk to dinner and walk to the movies. And so they are having a great old time. And now they're going to exercise classes, and they're much more active than they were at their own old home, but they don't have to take care of the pool and the half acre. Lisa sold her home to move to a life plan or CCRC community. She was single, and she was very concerned about who would take care of her in her later years. And so that is sort of part of her health planning, if you will, because they cover all your future health care needs. And Tom sold his Orinda Country Club home and moved to Rossmore. Because he was really isolated, and it was a huge home. So he's kind of enjoying all that Rossmore has to offer right now. And if you're not familiar, I think you're probably all familiar with Rossmore. It's our local 55 plus active adult community of about 10,000 residents. It's quite a large place. And if you're bored there, it's your own fault. Because it's got 200 different clubs and activities, and you name it. Jim and Carol moved, I remember that we sold their home in Pleasant Hill, and they moved to a single level townhome with an attached garage, a front and a backyard. But he was tired of being on the roof and taking care of the yard again. And she couldn't handle a couple of the stairs they had in their home. And now they're going on like 3 to 4 different cruises a year. I mean, they're cruise freaks. But they're having a great time. And Don and Roger just closed escrow. They're actually in the midst of having a rent back situation right now, but their downsizing move is they are going to be building a new home in Florida, again, to be closer to family and to be able to golf more and just kind of enjoy the lifestyle that they really love, and closer to family. So, downsizing, again, can look really different for a lot of different people. And so part of your housing needs checklist might include, there's so many different senior living options right now, and we've had those presentations in the past, but, the continuing care retirement communities or life plan communities is one option that people can consider. and that is more of a lease contract, if you will. It's healthcare services that are either covered or are charged a la carte. There's usually a fairly significant buy-in, somewhere around $400 to $2 million. And those can look like a studio all the way to your own casita, if you will, or cottage. There's independent communities. Often you have a full kitchen and they may provide a meal or two downstairs, housekeeping, etc. But typically, if you need kind of full-time care, you would probably need to move out of an independent. Assisted living, I think this is a place where a lot of people are moving right now if they've decided to stay in their homes as long as possible. Assisted living is maybe you can't quite live independently. You need some help with those activities of daily living, bathing or dressing or even meal preparation. But you certainly are not in need of like what you would get at a full-time skilled nursing facility, if you will. Then there's patio apartments. There's the Rossmores of the world. There's the memory cares. So there's so many different options, right? And so part of this planning is getting all this straight in your mind as far as what do we need and what do we want and how are we going to design our future? So you are the captain of your own ship and you're making all the decisions yourself. So the step 2 is, okay, now we want to communicate our decisions to our loved ones, right? Our BFFs that bring us soup when we have the flu, our family, our friends. I know not every family is like a Leave It to Beaver family, but you're not really sharing your plan with them to get their approval. You're not asking them for their blessing as much as you want to tell them what your intentions are and ask them, are you going to be there for me to support me? You know, are you going to be able to support me in these decisions? And I'll tell you what we have found when we're working with folks and their adult children. Sometimes this move is harder for the adult children than it is for the older parent, right? They're for a number of different reasons. Sometimes they really have a hard time seeing mom and or dad leaving the home they grew up in. So they have an emotional attachment. You know, that's their childhood that's being sold. Or sometimes if they're told by mom and or dad, gosh, kids, we've decided we're gonna move to, you know, this assisted living place and this is why, and those are our intentions, and we probably will be moving next year sometime. I think a lot of adult children might not know how great some of these places are. They're amazing. Some of them are like cruise ships on land. I mean, they're beautiful, well appointed, great options. I think some kids think, oh my gosh, she's having to move to assisted living, you know, mom's on her way out. And then they see pictures of mom, you know, riding bikes down the path or in the exercise class or, you know, doing some other wild activity. No, mom's not passing away. She's doing just fine and having a blast. But, you know, we even have a letter that we can provide you, a sample letter on how to have a family meeting. So if it's, and I'll tell you why we would even suggest this, because there was a study done by adult children 45 to 60, and they were asked if they knew their parents' intentions. 90% of them said, oh yeah, I think we know what mom and dad want and need and what they're looking to do. Then they brought the parents back in the room with their adult kids. 80% of them were wrong. 80% of them did not know what mom and dad really wanted or intended to do or what they had planned on. So what does that tell us? We need to communicate. We need to communicate more. with those that we care about and love, so that they're on the same page and they can understand and potentially support you through all this. Some of my clients don't want their kids involved at all. And they say, no, we're handling all this ourselves. We'll let them know, you know, as things go on. And other people, we meet with the kids every time we meet with the parents. So, you know, they can be as involved or uninvolved as people wish. But, you know, you want to share with them your reasons that you want to move, reasons to move, your feelings. You know, we recognize that every move we make is not just a physical move, but it's an emotional move as well for everyone. It's a great opportunity to sort of reminisce about times in the home, times together, you know, memories, special events, things that have happened. And maybe even a great time to start liquidating some of those family treasures and heirlooms, right? So again, I think this is an important piece, this step. You can even start working on kind of a disbursement list. We can give you some tips on that too, as far as, you know, who do you want to get the, you know, the antique chest that grandma brought over from Sweden, you know, or maybe you have one of your children that really wants that antique chest. So time to kind of talk about that. The third step is working with professionals. And over the years, obviously, we have brought a lot of professionals to our panel discussions that we know and like and trust. They're local experts in what they do. But there's some tips and tricks about who to hire, how to hire, what you should expect from them. So there may be a whole tribe of people that you're going to want to be involved with your process, your moving process. And I'm going to give a shameless plug and suggest, whether it be me or someone else, that your first call is to your seniors real estate specialist. Because we're trained and we're experienced in working with all sorts of different professionals that understand and are very experienced at a later in life move. And these are a little bit more complicated. It's a little more complicated moving when you're 85 than it was when you were 45. So your realtor should not only be the one that's going to be negotiating on your behalf during the sale of your home, but also project managing all these different people and parties and vendors and service providers and professionals for you and keeping you involved. And again, we can be as involved or uninvolved as you wish. Everybody's situation, again, is different. So I might suggest that some of the professionals you could reach out to would be your realtor, your move manager, your mover, an organizer, an estate liquidator, your mortgage lender or your reverse mortgage lender, inspectors, escrow officer, contractor, repairmen, handymen, interior designers, painters, landscapers. Maybe we need to visit the attorney, your financial advisor, your CPA, your insurance agent, your physician, and senior real estate specialists will also stay in touch with the retirement community staff or the other agent on the other side, because sometimes the timing gets a little interesting. So I heard of another person, was not my client, but they had sold their home. So this realtor was very anxious to just get their home sold, get them out of the house and push things along. They just, because when do realtors get paid, right? When the home sells. So the home was put on the market. This actually happened out of state. So this is somebody else that I know of that heard of this. The house was put on the market. They got a great offer. They accepted the offer, put it on the market on August 1, and the buyers wanted them out by August 31st. It was a great offer. So they closed escrow on August 31st. And that agent hadn't thought to communicate and coordinate with the community staff. And so the seller called and said, "Oh, Susie, I can move into my new apartment now at ABC Senior Community." And Susie said, "Oh, we're so excited to have you, Emma, but it won't be ready till September 15th. So again, just coordinating the timing, because then she had 2 weeks, she had no place to live. And we do not want, again, we want this to be as hassle-free as possible, as easy as possible, as streamlined and go as smoothly as possible. So when you're considering hiring professionals, I mean, obviously you want to interview them. You want to read their contract. I think a couple things that I suggest that you do is, and these will be obvious, but you want to read their contract. You want to understand what services they offer and what services they don't offer, what licensing they have or don't have, what insurance they have covering them or not. You know, at this stage of the game, cheaper is not always better, right? So whether it's an estate sale company and typically estate sale companies are going to charge somewhere between 35 and 45% of the profits of the sale. But if you have an estate sale company that says, "Oh, I'll do it for you for 25%, what is that going to tell you? Maybe they're not too busy. You know, the typical realtor fee in this neck of the woods is 5 to 6.5%. That's standard and customary, 6% being the standard and customary amount. So if you hear a realtor say, "Oh, well, we'll sell your home for 4%, we'd be happy to do that." What does that tell you? You probably don't have a lot of business, or they're having to buy their business. So this may not be the time to save a couple pennies, because you might get what you pay for. But you want to make your selections on their services, how they deliver their services, their reputation, maybe their references, and whether or not they can meet your needs, bottom line. I can't speak specifically for what everyone charges because, of course, they have their own companies. They run their own companies. They change their prices. But you definitely want to ask about price, right? And I would be very wary, you know, and you don't want to work with a realtor that's going to charge you 8% because you shouldn't need to spend that. You probably don't want to work with an estate sale person that's going to charge you 50%. So we're happy to refer the people that we know that we work with day in and day out, week after week, and let you interview with them and see if they would be a good fit. You know, and we're all smart people. We're all smart people. And I think another thing that we need to consider is, you know, when you get that funny feeling and there's just something not right, that funny feeling in your gut, that's your intuition. Listen to it, right? If your intuition is telling you there's something a little off with this person, that's all I'm going to say about that. And then again, urgency. We sort of talked about that. You know, you don't really want to be, nor do you need to be rushed. This is all about you. If you need a year to get ready, you need a year to get ready. I mean, that's why we've got that what if plan. And maybe your plan is we're going to sell our home in 2 years from now, and we're going to take our time doing what we need to do. Or some people say, no, we've made the decision. They wake up one day and say, we're moving, and they're like ready to rock and roll. So everybody's in a different place. But it should be your time frame, not their time frame. I hope that makes sense to you. So, movers, there's movers that only can move you within the state based on their licensing, and then movers that can go over state lines. And they all charge a little different too, and they all offer things a little differently. Some can store your things locally. Some, it's better, you're probably better off to store your things there if your new home isn't quite ready. Kind of need to look into that a little bit. You need to compare the whole pod thing versus a moving and storage company and understand who's actually going to be doing the packing, right? And who won't do packing. Movers. So be sure you understand their insurance coverage, their replacement value, or by the pound, which way is it? How much additional insurance is provided for valuables, Is there a minimum hourly rate for movers? How many people are going to be loading and unloading? Are they uniform staff? Are they contract labor? That can make a big difference. Again, insured, bonded, I think we already talked about that. Obtain references for local and interstate movers, I would say, whichever, is appropriate. Packing and unpacking services, some do, some don't. When does the billing time begin and end, right? How long have they been in business? Are they a fly-by-night or have they been around for 40 years? So all of those things are important. And if you're moving into a senior community, do they specialize in that kind of move? Do they know how to do that? That's important too. So estate liquidators, let's talk about that. Estate liquidators. We'll call those the estate sale people, if you will. Again, read the contract. Most of them are going to charge, as I mentioned, the 35 to 45% of what is sold. I think most of you have probably been to an estate sale, right? It's like a professionally done garage sale in a way. You've probably been to really good ones where everything is organized and priced, and they have traffic control, they have check-ins, they have a database, they do the marketing, they know what things are worth. And you've probably been to bad ones, which are like glorified garage sales. And these usually are happening right before we sell the home, and they're usually happening while people are still with us, alive. And you want to talk to someone early on, because I think a lot of people just assume they'll use an estate sale company, and yet they really don't have enough to have an estate sale. So kind of understand, do they do like private pre-sale options for family and friends to come and maybe buy some things in the beginning? They definitely do not want you to try to organize things on your own. They want you to leave everything exactly where it is, in the drawers, in the closets, in the cupboards, and they will organize it appropriately. I think it makes more work if you try to organize it first. So just, understand the length of time that they will need to set up, and then what will they do with things that don't sell. Typically, they will be donated, hauled, and the home will be broom swept clean. That's what we are familiar with here locally, at least the people that we work with. You want to make sure that they are good at their marketing and advertising as well, because you want to get that line outside the door waiting to come in and buy all the goodies that you are not bringing with you. So realtors. Okay, here we go. How do you hire a realtor? Well, obviously you want to ask about their experience, their training. What's their experience with a later in life move? Again, downsizing moves are very different than other moves. They require a little bit additional knowledge, detailed timelines, additional steps, a little bit more project management, if you will. Is there support staff on their team? How will they be communicating with you? What is their level of attentiveness? Are they trying to rush you? Or are they working on your timeline? You know, read their references, read their reviews, make sure that there's someone that sells real estate full time, right? That would be very helpful. You may not want to pick your great nephew twice removed to sell your home if this is going to be his first sale. You know, in technology. So this is important too. I've had many home sellers recently that don't use a computer. So we need to talk about that up front and understand how we're going to be communicating and passing information, passing documentation and paperwork back and forth, when and how. So all of these things should come into consideration when you're thinking about what professionals you want to work with. And then home repair. Well, a good realtor is going to have some great contractors to refer to you. I work with contractors that they love my clients and they're very astute at this type of a move, and they just get in there and they help us when we need the help. So a move manager, let's talk about this, because I don't know how many of us want to be packing, carrying heavy boxes up and down stairs, or loading them into U-Hauls. I don't want to do that. So when I move, I'm going to hire a move manager. So what the heck is a move manager? I know many of you know this, and we had Tammy speak last month. She's a move manager. But a move manager can assist you with everything from hiring your mover to dealing with your utilities being shut off and turned back on. A move manager, you can do this one of two ways when it comes to the stuff, because we're really getting into step 4, which is how do you deal with that stuff, which we've talked about before. But you can handle this on your own, or you can hire someone like a move manager. Now, the move manager doesn't push you out of the picture. You're still the one driving the whole process as far as what do you want to take? What do you want to leave behind? What do you need? What do you want? What's going to fit in your new place? They'll even help you with the schematics and the measurements. And they'll go room by room, drawer by drawer. And you're the one, though, saying, okay, keep, toss, that might be a maybe. Put that in the maybe pile. So they're going to help you do this. They'll keep you on track. And I'll tell you why this is so helpful, because I have so many people that I've been talking to for years, and they're working on this downsizing of stuff thing right now. And in some cases, we're in year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5. They're not much farther in year 5 than they were 5 years ago. So it's one of those best of intentions, but people are tired, they're busy, and they're overwhelmed. It's a lot. You look at your home and you think, oh my gosh, where do I begin? So a move manager is great. Now I'll tell you, you're going to ask, okay, and so here's what they do. They're going to help you decide what you're taking with you. They're going to help set you up in your new home. So you go to lunch that day with your friends, maybe your family, and maybe you go see a movie, and you show up at your new place. Your medicine cabinet is set up exactly as it was before. Your chair is next to your favorite lamp on your side table. Everything is set up the way you would like it. Your art is hung, your bed is made, and all you need to do is brush your teeth and go to bed. So I don't know about you, but that sounds pretty sweet to me. So you want to ask what their credentials are as far as the move management. You know, how well are they communicating with you? You definitely want to ask how they're going to charge. Are they going to charge by the hour or by the project? Right? Again, read the contract. I mean, when you go into business with someone, there's going to be a contract. You need to read it, right? because they're going to all offer something a little different. The typical hourly rate in our neck of the woods is somewhere between $75 and $125 an hour. You might get 1 to 2 to 4 people, depending on what you agree on with them. So I think that that is a very integral part of this whole moving thing. Now, you can start this thinning process on your own. You know, you can get your sticky notes out and start putting the green ones on things that you know darn well that's coming with you. Red maybe or pink is like that's got to go. Now the move manager can also help with, if they're helping you with what you're taking away, they're going to also help with, I guess, liquidating what's left. And so that's when we get involved in auctions, consignment, donations, and hauling. So you can decide how you want to handle that part of the situation. So I think when it comes down to what you're going to bring with you, you know, think about what brings you joy, what you need. I don't recommend putting things in storage. That would be the last thing you'd want to do, because the people that have done that tell me, well, Dayna, remember those things we couldn't part with and we just thought the kids would want them and we put them in that storage unit. 10 years later, nobody's opened the storage unit and those things are still sitting there, but yet you've been paying for that month after month after month. So really think about that before you go the storage route way. But I'll give you an example of cute, I think it's Barbara and Bob were living, actually they're living in my neighborhood, and they wanted to move. They had a 5-bedroom, 3-bath, 2-story home, again with a pool. And he was 92 and his young bride of 89 really needed to move. She was using a walker, and yet they had a 2-story home. And that wasn't working too well. They said, no, we know we want to do this. They knew they'd already chosen where they were going to move to. They had that all set up, deposit in. But she said, no, well, I'm going to need at least 6 months to get rid of my stuff. Well, in this case, it was, I think it was Bob that said, you know what, let's just start working on this now. So they agreed to hire a move manager. And again, part of some realtors' value-added services includes some of this. So, you know, we often will include many different services in our fees. And I paid for 2 days of move management for them in this case. They didn't really want to, but we decided it might be worth a try. Well, after 2 days, I said, so do you think this is helpful? Do you want to continue or just want to do it yourself? And Barbara was like, oh my gosh, they're great. They've helped me. We've gone through the whole house almost in 2 days. And, you know, it got her unstuck, I guess was the point. And they were thrilled. And the move manager even helped them get rid of she had been actually a professional pianist. Nobody wanted the grand piano. So we found a good, happy home for the piano. I will say pianos and pool tables sometimes are really tough to liquidate, but you never know. So consider a move manager as part of the overall plan. And again, we'll have people that we can refer to you. So I will tell you, I'm going to go back to someone that I recently consulted with, and she had lost her husband and she wanted to do her due diligence. And she used to be a CPA, an accountant, very detail oriented, loves spreadsheets, loves lists. And so she went and visited all these places that she'd been interested in. So, you know, we set up meetings at the Mercer, downtown kind of luxury apartments. We looked at Rossmore. We looked at some, I set up some tours for her. She wanted to compare a life plan as well as an assisted living community. And she's so cute. She did her homework, boy. She has her what if plan all teed up. And she says, Dayna, I'm so excited to tell you that I'm not going to move. So she goes, I'm going to move eventually, but right now, I now know after doing all this homework, all this comparison, all this research, that I'm exactly where I need to be right now. But I think because she'd recently lost her husband, she just felt like maybe she needed to change, but she's going to stay put, and that's awesome. So she's got her plan in place, and she's working on the when and the who and the how and the where. I think she has the where. I think she figured out the where. But so, a consultation helped her a lot, kind of figure that all out. So what else do we want to cover? So this is so much better when it's interactive, because you can ask questions. In fact, I want to see if there's any questions in Q&A so far. I want to make sure I'm answering your questions, because we're almost at the top of the hour. And I will just say real quickly that the last step is just adjusting to your new life. Wherever it is that you end up moving to, wherever you land, be aware of your feelings, stay in contact with your loved ones, stay in communication with them. Some people like to journal. Give yourself a little grace and patience to adjust, because moving to a new place for anyone at any age is weird. It's just weird. Change is hard. So, give yourself some time. I did a focus group at an assisted living. Actually, it was an independent living. We talked about what had been the hardest to adjust to. And this one lady said, honey, I used to love to come home, kick off my shoes and eat dinner on a TV tray, put on my old grubby sweats. Now I've got to put on lipstick and get dressed to go down to dinner. She said, for the first 3 months, it was a big old hassle. I was not used to that. She said, now I cannot wait to go down and have a meal with my friends and, have a great chat and just be in community with other people that she enjoys. But that took time. It didn't happen overnight. So, keep your physical activity up, good nutrition, and I guess just start enjoying the resources and the amenities and the activities, or maybe get back to a hobby that you used to love to do, or spend more time with the grandkids, or book those cruises, or enjoy not having to mow the lawn, or whatever it is that's going to bring you joy. Read those books. So hopefully you will have less stress, less worry, and you can focus on things that really, make you happy. So are there any questions for me? I will say that I plan on starting a group. I think I'm going to call it the Spirit Club, but it's going to be a very small group where we will meet for maybe a series of 6 or 8 times. And you'll get the Downsizing Made Easy workbook, but we're going to dig into each step together. It'll be a very interactive, very personal time together, so that we can get people teed up with creating their plan and helping them through all their questions and concerns. And we'll bring in some special guests and such. So let me know if that sounds good to you. And in the meantime, I think we have come to the end of the hour. So if there are no questions, I will just say thank you so much for attending today. I hope you got a couple little nuggets of information that you hadn't thought about before. And again, remember, next month, we have July 7th, your forever home remodel, build or buy. So we're going to be getting detailed about that topic next month at the Lafayette Library. call me with any questions. I'll send out a follow-up email. And when we go back to the library, it'll go back to 10 to 11:30. So we'll have a little bit more time for Q&A and things of that nature. So I wish you a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you again for attending. And I can't wait to see you in person next month. Thanks. Bye.